so down. I've got a song in my head and it won't come out. I've been dying for these pages and pages to be full. Sometimes you don't know what you've been wishing on. I doubt you know what you really want. I've been so numb, I can't imagine what it'll take to begin again. That's why I'm holding this heavy head so low. I've got no clue where the minutes went. I doubt you know what your kisses meant to me. Sometimes I feel like I'm fading. Sometimes I feel like I'm making history. Where have I ever will go? I know I'm aching still, got this empty heart. It's out for blood. Here I am, I have got no breath on heart. Down for the count, down for the ride.
Hello, it's Chuck from Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation, the official podcast partner of the 2017 Boston Music Awards. 2017 sees the Boston Music Awards celebrate their 30th anniversary this week on December 7th at House of Blues in Boston. Tickets are open to the public and on sale now via the Boston Music Awards website at bostonmusicawards.com. The night will feature multiple live performances from nominated artists, and winners will also be announced that night, so if you want to see who wins firsthand, make sure you grab tickets. Boston-born and raised rocker Carissa Johnson plays with energy and attitude, and her quick-hitting songs are a throwback to gritty punk rock and roll. Carissa is nominated for 3 Boston Music Awards, including Rock Artist, New Artist, and Unsigned Artist of the Year. She was also the winner of the 2017 Boston Rock and Roll Rumble and has her own media label called Fuel Heart Productions. She is currently doing workshops on do-it-yourself touring with Vanessa Silberman of A Diamond Heart Production. We were fortunate to have Vanessa as a special guest on this episode as well. So here is our conversation with Carissa Johnson, recorded at Woods Hill Table in Concord, Massachusetts. So I'm sorry, Vanessa, what's your last name again?
Silberman.
Silberman.
With a B.
With a B, correct.
You probably say that a lot to people.
Yeah, because people think it's Silberman.
With a V.
Yeah.
My name's Hirschberg, and people will say Hirschberger all the time. And I'll say, no, it's Hirschberg without the
It's like a chocolate burger. Hershey
It
burger.
is.
Hershey burger.
That's what they called me when I was in 3rd grade.
Oh, no.
Every
God, he's-
single day.
Really?
Look, he's
Now
starting
I'm
to sweat.
starting to
Oh,
shake.
no, I'm
He's
sorry.
starting to sweat.
That's okay.
He's all nervous now.
Oh, no.
'Cause he's
My
been-
son's about the same. Well,
he's
he's
been
12
bullied.
right now, but
Really?
people just call him Uncle Ben.
Really?
Yeah, his name's Ben.
Oh, okay.
They call him Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
Not big.
That's not bad.
It started with the whole Uncle Ben's rice thing, and some kid said Uncle Ben once, and it stuck. But I don't think
wow.
I think many of them have no idea what Uncle Ben's rice is.
Wow.
No, you have to be from the raised in the 70s and 80s to know what Uncle Ben's is. Uncle Ben's rice is
When were
always
you
in
born?
my house.
When were you?
I was born in 1947.
He's
No,
not. It's a
No.
lie. It's a lie.
I believe that's a
I'm
lie.
kidding. Don't believe it.
Yeah, that's a farm-to-table gourd.
That's really cool.
It came from the farm. It is now on the table.
I like it. I want to
Yeah.
open it up.
Can you eat gourds?
Yes.
What do you eat with? It's not like a squash.
It is like a squash. It's like a
It's
cousin
like a
of
squash, but you can't eat it like a squash.
It would not be delicious like a squash. It would
Yeah.
be harder, but I think you can eat it.
We'll cook it right up right after the interview.
I've never heard anybody eating gourd. Sounds like an LA thing, if you ask me.
I think they eat gourds in L.A.
It's a very LA thing.
Carissa Johnson's here, and she brought her wonderful friend Vanessa.
Vanessa
And
Silverman.
they met each other in Boston playing gigs.
We did. We were on our 6th tour together.
Your 6th
Awesome.
tour.
Yeah. Been touring all over the U.S. this year. It's been crazy.
6 tours in 1 year?
In 1 year.
So what constitutes a tour?
There have been a couple 2-weekers and then a couple monthers. I think there was like a 5-week tour. There was a 4-week tour. There was
Have
a
you
2-week
ever been
tour.
on a 3-hour tour?
I don't know if that's a tour.
I'm sorry.
From Reno.
In July, actually, we did a tour. In July, I was opening
Dating
up for
yourself
Vanessa's band,
the whole time.
and then I got offered a show at Sinclair, smack dab in the middle of that tour. And I had known that I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be in like Davis, California that day, and I have a show the next day also. But I was like, I do have that night off. I have to play Sinclair. It's been a goal of mine all year.
It's a great
for
place.
years.
We love that place.
Me too. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I don't care what it takes. I'm just going to play it. And then I flew out of Reno that night. It was a 3-hour tour, I guess, to Boston. And we played. Then
You
I
really
went,
did have a 3-hour
played
tour.
with my band, flew right out after the show, and then played Davis, California the next night. So
Wow.
Reno to Boston to California with no sleep. And it was amazing.
Sounds like a Grateful Dead song.
Well, it sounds like a Johnny Cash song because of the Reno thing, but I flew out of Reno. I went right to the Sinclair. You know,
Oh,
there
yeah?
you go. And then you just keep going.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
there we
your
go.
verse. Yeah.
That's the whole song. But it was so fun.
That's cool.
That's crazy. That's a lot of touring.
And I'm doing it again, actually, on this tour. I think I'm flying out of West Virginia, coming home for one show with my other band, Swivel, in Manchester, and then flying out right after the show and meeting Vanessa back in Philly.
I'm playing Baltimore, and she's gonna play Philadelphia. Or wait, where are you playing?
I don't know. I'm playing Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire, yeah.
Now, where are you from?
I'm
Andover?
from Andover, Mass, yeah. I always say I'm based in Boston. Boston's pretty much where I spend most of my time. Yeah, I've lived in Andover my whole life. I practice with my band in Andover.
And you play in New Hampshire a lot, too?
Yeah, over the past few years, yeah, New Hampshire's definitely a big place that we hit. Yeah, going through to like Portland as well in Maine.
Oh, cool.
And, Manchester's been a good place. The Shaskin is a place we like to hit.
It's a cool strip.
Yeah, I think it's at Elm Street.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, there used to be a couple coffee shops and thrift stores that held shows. And when I was first getting this solo project off the ground, I'd play there acoustic a lot. And that was really fun. Yeah, I've always loved going through New Hampshire.
I've only driven through Manchester. I've never actually stopped there. It's that old mill town.
Yeah,
It looks kind of cool, but I just never stopped through it.
It's got a lot to it. It is a mill town. It's there's got a nice community to it. You know who's from there is the couple comedians actually. You know Adam Sandler's from there.
Okay.
And also
I've never heard of him.
Sarah Silberman's from New
Sarah
Hampshire.
Silverman with a V.
With a V.
And also he was on Saturday Night Live. He did Weekend Update.
Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers
Okay.
is from Manchester
There it
area too.
Yeah, there's
and
a lot
my
of
sister-in-law,
comedians.
but she's not a comedian. But
Yeah.
No, she's hilarious.
I feel like there's a lot of comedians from the East Coast.
She is pretty funny actually. Anyway,
She's got
digress.
I like it funny when it's so cold staying inside.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Vanessa.
I know.
is
Vanessa's from
finally-
LA, and this is cold weather for her, but it's only like, I don't know, what is it, like 40 degrees out, maybe?
We need to give a mid-podcast shout-out to Vanessa for her band, too. So tell us what the band is.
It's myself. It's called the Vanessa Silberman Band, featuring Reed Mullen from Corrosion of Conformity, and then my producer and musician friend Michael Ross.
What are you in Boston for?
I'm in Boston for the tour that me and Chris are on. It's called the Hearts and Crowns Tour. It's of the East Coast. It goes down through the South and back around.
That's great. And
So you're on the whole tour.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
I have nothing to say.
All right.
No.
Back to
But-
Carissa. Carissa. I'm
Carissa,
sorry.
yes.
Gosh.
Wrong name.
Okay.
Well, you said Chris, and you messed me all up.
My dad calls
Do you
me
call her
Chris.
Chris? So it sounded like-
It's like Chris, but you say
You
it
say it
quick,
so
so it's just like
fast?
Chris.
My dad calls me Chaz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unless I'm in trouble. Although I haven't been in trouble for like 20 years, though.
Yeah,
So he doesn't get
that's a
mad.
good
He doesn't
thing.
get mad at me much anymore.
A lot
Yeah.
of people in his family call him Chucky also.
Chucky.
Well,
It's good to have a lot of names.
if they've
That's
known if
interesting.
they know me before when I was like 5, they called me Chucky.
Okay.
And anybody that's been on the podcast can also call him Chucky.
No,
Chucky.
Don't call me Chucky.
Chaz.
Please. Chuck is fine.
Chuck.
Cool.
But you know what I noticed when I email people about the podcast saying, "Oh, it's Chuck. I would like to have you on. Are you interested?"
Yeah.
And then email back, "Thanks for emailing me, Charles." I'm like, "Where are you
Oh.
getting Charles from? I didn't.
Wow.
It's not anywhere. No, it doesn't.
Actually,
Yeah.
it does.
It does.
Yes. When you are on the email circuit with me, it says
But
Charles.
in the to. Oh, in the
I
front.
don't
In
know,
the front.
but it says Charles.
But I say Chuck. It's my signature, Chuck.
But people see it probably with the subject name. Like
Yeah, listen to Vanessa. She knows what she's talking about.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I know. These
Yeah.
people from LA, they're so uppity.
All right, so
Anyways, welcome to Concord. We're
Thank you
really
so
glad to
much.
have you.
So
I've been
happy to be
listening to your albums, all of them. You have one that came out in 2015.
Yes.
And then you have one that came out in 2016.
Exactly.
And now you have a single out.
Yep.
And they were all
Very good.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
And we were just saying.
I don't know. I
we
think
were-
one of them was not that awesome.
We were saying earlier,
Straight.
we were talking a little earlier, we've had a lot of different musicians on. I don't think we have one real, I don't want to insult anybody who's been on, but pure rocker like you.
Oh, thank
like,
you.
Like I'm thinking like the Pretenders, like Tuscadero.
Leather Tuscadero.
Leather
Yeah.
Tuscadero.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah,
Right?
she's cool.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I thought I was gonna date myself, but I'm glad you said that.
No,
but
that's so great. That's what inspired Joan Jett. That's what inspired me.
Exactly. And you know what? And that jacket is awesome.
Oh, thanks.
You don't see those kind of jackets.
Can we get a
anymore
picture of this, guys?
with the name of the what's the name of the band on the
That
back
hurt.
of that?
The name of the band. Oh, the denim jacket that I have, or this one.
I don't know.
Leather.
I think it's that one.
This one has nothing on the back.
That's not denim. That's leather.
But,
There was one that you had that has a
the
two-
Gets. I
The
think.
Gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You have another.
Do you know
one.
the Gets?
I don't.
Okay.
But I don't see many. We haven't had anyone on the podcast who has an awesome jacket like that
Oh,
with
thank
like
you.
band names in the back.
Thanks.
That's
yeah.
That's old school 70s, 80s, Ratskeller, CBGB's rock and roll.
I so wish I was around for that because like I'm so
Chuck
inspired
was.
by that. Yeah. Well, he was
Well,
born in '47, right?
I was around for that, but I never actually. I don't think I ever went to the Ratskeller, unfortunately.
Yeah, you would have been
Before it
you would have
closed.
been beat up.
Closed.
I went to the Rat when I was in '94.
Oh, okay. No,
That's when I was
talking
born.
about.
Yeah, when Carissa was born. Yeah, I remember bringing Carissa with a baby Bjorn into the Rat actually, and we walked.
It's a little weird.
It was a little bizarre, but I had that bounce, and
Yeah.
Chris was like,
This is.
and we went right to the stage, and like I think Letters to Cleo was playing.
This
Oh
is,
my God.
This is going
Do you
to
guys
weird
know Letters to
places.
Cleo?
I love them.
Let's talk about them.
Okay.
How good are they?
They're amazing.
What are they doing now?
They just did a show, actually. Kay Hanley was just at Q Division. I just found out, and I missed it.
Oh,
But she was playing a show with, like, Juliana Hatfield.
Cool.
Members of Belly.
you guys, you remind me of that.
You mentioned
But-
that earlier, yeah.
But I have to say, maybe it's because when I was listening to Letters of Cleo, it was live.
Yeah.
And there's something about the studio element that I never listened to them from with their albums. But anyway, your arrangements are very crisp. Part of it reminded me of Letters of Cleo, but with
That's
a
so
more
cool.
refined edge to it.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, it's
if you
funny.
can refine an edge.
When I was younger, I must have been in early elementary school, and I saw the movie Josie and the Pussycats, and I loved the soundtrack, and I was obsessed with the songs,
Yeah.
and that's what made me want to play guitar. And then I found out later it was Kay Hanley who recorded those songs at Q Division,
Huh.
singing as Josie.
Really?
And then I found out about
Yeah.
Letters to Cleo, and then Greg, actually from Letters to Cleo, played at the Rumble this year with City Rivals. But they're all so nice. I haven't
They're
met
cool.
Kay yet, but I want to. I want to do a show opening for them so bad.
They're all pretty old, like me, like my
Oh.
age. Like they're all like mid 40s and very nice. What's the drummer's name is Stacy. He's a guy named
He played
Stacy.
in Veruca Salt and had American Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he played American Hi-Fi.
Yeah, that was his band. Yeah.
Yeah. The drummer was
that.
Brian Nolan. I don't know if you know that name.
I know the name. Yep.
Wow, I'm impressed, man. You're pulling these names out of your butt.
Yeah, I just made it up. But I mean, they were really good, and I
Yeah.
felt that with listening to your music.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember hearing the. I think I saw the music video for Here and Now, and I remember I just put out the album for
That was a
Now.
big hit.
It was so catchy, and then it reminded me of another one of my songs, Fuel Heart, where I was like, oh my god, like I was totally inspired by this, unknowingly almost. Where like I hadn't even really listened.
Well,
to
remember
Letters.
you were just a baby with me
Exactly.
at the Rat.
I was
Yeah.
just like
I'm
not
feeling all
even
weird
1 year
about
old.
this.
But totally, totally inspired.
I
by
remember
I'm
even when you were
uncomfortable.
in the womb when we used to play
when I was
some
in
of
your
their.
womb.
Like seriously, this has got to stop.
No, but yeah.
Yeah.
What is she? Do you know what she's saying there?
I looked it up and I have since forgot.
Yeah.
But I still love that song. I love the melodic songs and the good energy rock and roll punk thing. So
I didn't get any sleep last night, but that's not why I'm tired. I'm sitting still behind the doors I've always wanted to kick down. Nobody
think you're the first person we've had on who's been inspired by Josie and the Pussycats.
I know. I guess that might be a rare thing.
Pretty awesome. Well, you never know what's going to trigger you to do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
Josie, how's that go?
Still my favorite movie.
I don't know if the song goes like that.
Josie and the Pussycats.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, you know what they're from, right?
The cartoon, right?
The comic book
Comic book, yeah.
with Archie and Jughead. When the Josie and the Pussycats, weren't they like their buddies?
Really?
I don't know.
Wait, this was
I
an
could be
Archie spin-off?
I could be making this up.
I think it was, actually.
I think it was.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with the early Josie and the Pussycats, but I saw the movie when I was real young, didn't understand the storyline, but was completely affected by it.
I never saw the movie. But
It's
that's
really cool.
awesome. Look, it's true. You never know you're going to be inspired
Yeah.
by, and it could be something as silly as a
I
silly
know.
kids movie.
Yeah.
That kind of just points in whatever direction.
Oh,
you go.
totally.
That's great.
Totally.
That's great. And the person in it is a Boston person,
Not the actor. It was Rachel Lee Cook.
but the person who.
But Kay Hanley was singing the
Singing,
songs.
yeah. So you're nominated for 3
3, yeah.
BMAs, being Boston Music Awards.
There you go.
Thanks.
What are we clapping for?
I won them
The
all.
nominations.
Oh, nomination. Okay. I'm still a little upset about the Baby Bjorn comment. So you're nominated for Rock Artist of the Year, Unsigned Artist of the Year, and
New artist.
Artist of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
But this is not your first merry-go-round here. You won the Rock and Roll Rumble,
Yes.
right? Back in April of this past year.
Yeah,
I heard you burned the place down.
I did. Yep, someone
fire
pulled the
department
fire
came and
alarm
everything.
halfway through my set. They were like, "This is
Really?
too hot."
Can you tell that story?
Yeah, so I was it was my third song. It was a song that I was planning on getting everyone to sing along to, my song For Now. And we had a part in it where we like take the song real down, like down low, get everyone to sing it and then bring it right back up. All of a sudden, halfway through the song, right when we're about to do that, the lights go on. It started to sound like there was like a big technical difficulty where the amps weren't working. And then I'm like, well, there's something going on, so let's stop playing. But my drummer just kept going. But then I just...
It's the hair in front of
the
his
hair.
face. I think.
He's got more hair than Steph and I combined. And it's so
It's
beautiful.
awesome hair. It's beautiful hair.
When he gets the fan going and he's just like... He looks like a
But he clearly
mystical creature.
He couldn't see the cues.
Yeah, I think there was probably just too much hair in his
He's just-
face.
he's
He felt it though. He felt the
Oh,
vibe.
yeah.
He was in the moment, man.
It was like the
This
big
is
night.
at Once
like,
Ballroom.
The finals. Yeah. That's the one night we don't want anything to go wrong.
Right.
Then everyone's like being filed outside in the rain. And then like, this is kind of magical. I mean, it's like everyone's just like in really good spirits. And they're like, oh my God, this is so fun. This is so crazy. What's going on? And they're like, this is history. And like, I don't even know. I don't know how. I just got to figure out how I'm going to go back into my set now because now everything's just like derailed.
Yeah.
But it was also really exciting because I like those moments for some reason where it's like, all right, now I got to get this back on track. We had only 30 minutes given to us for that competition where that's a big factor in like if you go on to the next round or not. If you go over 30 minutes by like a minute or two, you can get points taken off. And so we had everything down to a click and we're like, well, we can't start the song halfway where we started. And they were being really cool and saying like, yeah, just do your thing. Like, don't worry about the time. But we had to play the first song again without the click, but then go into the rest of the set with it. As we started that song over from the top, everyone started filing in. The lights all went down and then we just like kicked right into it. And then we did, I think the Dead Boys cover, so much energy, even more energy. And I think I just wanted to bring it up so much that it was just like all of us were like, pushing through that all together, and the crowd was really with us and was just like, we're not going to let this night be derailed by a fire alarm.
You carved your heart in my hand, ink made the blood, but the sea doesn't look the same when you're in it, keeping up. It's caving in with me, and yes, I'm strong, but equally as weak, and you've known all this time, and we spent that this was our destiny, 'cause
You were the first woman to win since Dresden Dolls won, like years ago?
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's,
heard
first
that.
of all, that's a crime.
I know,
first of
it's
all,
weird.
that it's been taken that long for another woman to
What was
win
it, 8
to win.
years? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I heard that the night of the finals, Amanda Palmer is a huge inspiration of mine.
Yeah, she's great.
And I think the last female to win besides that was Amy Mann in '83.
Wow.
And like there's
Oh,
been
wow.
other females in the bands, but as
Yeah.
far as fronting, I think there's only 4 total.
When you're using a click,
We're switching gears here. We're talking clicks now.
Clicks.
well, no, I mean it's the same story about the click. I want people to understand what that is that are listening to this too. So,
Yeah.
do you actually have a metronome going on in your earphones?
Yeah, the drummer does. And we don't always do that.
Just the drummer.
Just the drummer.
Okay.
So then he is the clock for all of us.
Right.
So we measure out the banter, measure out everything, and it's
Really?
not always. It can't be rehearsed perfectly because I know that stuff feels stiff when you do that and you're like, I'm going to say this at this point and this and this. Like, I don't want every second to be planned out. I love being
Because if you do
spontaneous.
that, you'll be able to tell.
But you have
Exactly,
a general
yeah.
amount of measures of 4/4s, let's say, or 3/4 that are banter,
Exactly.
that are just sort
So
of
it's
reserved
like-
for how's everybody doing? Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. So at practice, we would play to the exact click we were playing to at the show, and then I'd talk and know the general things I wanted to say and how long I had to say them. And then Nick would do like a little click on the ride to like notify me about 5 seconds. Then he'd kind of like just start playing a little bit to kind of like go along, with what I was saying, and
That's
then we
pro.
go right in. And it was cool. I mean, we practiced every single night in April. Because of that, we were able to make it to the end, and like we just wanted to play for that crowd. The energy was like nothing else.
One of the things, I'm a big sports fan, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things they say about athletes who win championships, it's the only profession where when you win something, you get champagne poured over you and you get to go nuts.
Yeah.
And you proved that wrong. Everyone you get a champagne bath all over you.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
And I didn't even go into it thinking about my outfit or like wearing my favorite jacket and risking ruining
right.
the whole thing. But
Well,
it
that's-
ended up
no,
cleaning
it's-
up
yeah.
nice.
Character.
Well, they call it a rumble, Chuck, so it's very sports-like.
I'm all for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I like to see it as not a competition. I think a lot of people do see it as that. It's definitely, it's a competition, but it's also like, it can be more of like a community. Like everyone's here to showcase what they have and
I
just
agree.
be here.
Yeah.
And that's the magic of it. That's why it was so cool. It was just like, oh my God, I just want to be here every night.
It is
Yeah.
a community, and we've noticed that we've had a lot of people who have either been nominated or have won previous years for the BMAs, and everybody knows each other, and everyone's like
Yeah.
rooting for each other. Everyone's just happy to be nominated. If they win,
Yeah.
fantastic. If my buddy wins or my whatever, that's
yeah.
great. So that's a beautiful thing about it. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the BMAs, so we should say, so you're nominated for those 3
Yes.
awards, right? That's going to be on December 7th, right? 2017.
And you're playing.
I am.
And that's what I was getting to.
I'm sorry.
Is that not only that, but you are going to be live on stage. And do you know, is that the beginning, middle, or end, or have they not planned that yet?
They haven't told me. I'm not sure. I don't think it's at the beginning. I think there was this other thing that's going on, the competition for, it's like a voting thing
Yeah.
for 617 sessions for the,
Right.
I think it's to open up the ceremony with one song. They've released a single through the Boston Record Company. So everyone recorded a single in one day. There's 10 bands. I'm actually part of that competition.
You're going to play how many songs?
4, I believe.
Ah,
They,
Really?
they said 15 minutes, so I think that's 4 songs for me.
That's the thing. I was going to say it's 2 to 3 minutes a song.
Yeah.
I was listening to your album, and all of a sudden I'm like, the album's over in half an hour,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like quick. It's like
Yeah.
quick, hitting you in the face, and
Yeah,
On
and
to the
I'm,
next
I'm
song.
actually in the process of putting together the track listing for my next album coming out in March. Right now it sits at 28 minutes, and there's 8 songs finished. But most of the albums have been like 32 minutes long and like 10 or 11, 12 songs. And I was looking up all my favorite bands, like the lengths of their albums, because there's still 1 or 2 that are going to fit on this album. And I'm like, man, if it's under a half hour, I wonder like how that sits with like other albums. I looked up Ramones and it was like 26. Blondie was like 32.
Wow.
Like Bad Reputation was like around there, like early 30s too.
Yeah,
Like,
2-3 minutes a song is.
yeah, because that's all you need.
I really like You Lost You.
Oh, thanks.
I love how it goes from 4/4 to the halftime 2/4.
Yeah, and you know what's funny?
And
I
you
didn't.
expect it again. you
Yeah,
know?
and it's really cool. I didn't even expect the song to be like that. When I wrote it, I was picturing it very 4 on the floor, driving, and then when I played it with Nick, he just took it down half, and I was like, whoa, I'm like falling into this right now, but like this is like perfect, like this is the song, like that's what it is. But I didn't even write it intentionally thinking that.
Yeah.
And then when Steph layered on her guitars, it added a whole other feel to it. That's like the magic of having a backing band behind you, because if I just did that song, it'd be a completely different thing. But they both added so much to it. And,
Steph is
Yeah.
awesome. What's her name?
she's great. Stephanie Curran.
Yeah.
She's a new addition to the band. So Nick is on Only Roses
Okay.
for most of it. But that was also when the band was kind of being figured out. On this new album, it'll be just the 3 of us. And featuring a few other people, but
And
for
who's
the
the drummer?
core of it. Nick Hall. Hall.
Nick Hall, Stephanie Curran.
Yeah.
And then you play electric bass.
Yes.
We've had 3 bass players, including you, in 67 episodes.
You are 67th episode.
Really?
And actually 2 of them were female. Allison Kesslow,
Okay.
who's been nominated for the BMAs 3 times. She's a jazz player.
Okay.
She'll be there
Awesome.
with us.
And you're the second female.
Cool.
And we're going to have another bass player.
That's right. We are.
Who's that?
We're going to London.
Oh.
He's a dude named Leland Sklar. And
You'd know
That
if you
name
saw him.
sounds familiar.
He's a guy now that's, I think he's 70. And
Okay.
he started in 1968 or so with James Taylor and Jackson Brown and
got a
Phil Collins.
Big,
and,
long Dumbledore beard
and
and long hair. He's
Eric
looked like
Clapton.
that since the 60s.
Oh, okay.
he's played with Clapton. He's played with all the greats. And sort of, we just have this opportunity to meet with
That's
him.
awesome. I've heard
So
that
you're-
name before.
I like your bass playing.
Thank you.
Because it's not buried. It's really out in front. And it's also not, I mean, you really kind of hear you hitting the strings. You're hearing that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
hearing that snap of the string when you're playing it. Was that your primary instrument when you first started playing?
Actually, guitar was.
Why'd you switch to bass?
I started playing guitar in my room growing up as a kid, and then there was a band in high school, the only music coming out of Andover at the time, this band called Left Hand Blue, and they needed a bassist. So they asked me to play. I was like 15, and I was like, man, like, I don't play bass, but I could learn. I play guitar, and I wanted to play out.
Were you singing at the time too?
To myself, but terrified to sing in front of anybody else.
Yeah.
Joined that band as a bassist, and then slowly started singing backup with them.
How old were you?
15.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I left that band when I was 20. We were all going through college, leaving college, and then just going our own ways. But it was with Matt Meneghel. He's another solo artist. Yeah, I mean, that band was my growing up pretty much as a musician, and I mean, I always am, but that was like the start of everything. And I felt very established as a bassist, and like I felt very comfortable with that instrument. I love the bass that I have, where like I have never been attached to a guitar in the same way. And
What is it?
It's a 77 precision bass. And it was actually from New York, but I bought it. My dad bought it when he was in his band, playing out at the Rat and stuff. They bought it in Alston at the that store, the music store, Mr. Music.
So wait a minute.
Chuck is intrigued, but we were back to the Rat.
Wait, talk
Yeah.
about your dad. What did your dad? Was your dad a musician?
He was, yeah. He was in a band called The Bones.
The
And,
Bones. That's
yeah.
a great name.
Yeah, they were a good band. They only played out not too much, but they played the Rat, the Channel,
Wow.
places like that back in the 90s. And
Is he still
late
playing?
80s. He plays, but not out.
What's
Just
your dad's
for
name?
himself, Scott Johnson.
That's
That's
awesome.
so cool.
Yeah, so like
Was it similar music, like
Similar.
inspired by?
Yeah, actually, the song "Open Your Eyes" off my first album, For Now, that song is actually a Bones song that I covered.
Wow.
And
You
I just
covered
wanted to
your
do
dad's
it.
tune.
Yeah, and I had his band play the backing of it because I didn't have a band back then. So I was like hiring friends to play, and I was like, I'm just gonna do a Bones song because I love the song and I'm inspired by the same music he is, you know, Ramones and Beatles and all that stuff. So
That's awesome.
my dad got me into almost all the music that I really, really listened to.
I wonder if he played with or knows the guys in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you know what?
David Minahan.
I love them. And Johnny is a good friend of mine. He played drums on For Now. And
Yeah.
he played drums on Only Roses on a couple songs. And
Because that's the same era right there.
so, yeah, that's one of his favorite bands. He got me into the Neighborhoods. I saw them at TT the Bears when TT's was closing. And I was like, my whole idea of a live show is now changed. And now I know what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I love the Neighborhoods so much. And
He's
like,
nominated for Producer of the Year.
yeah, he's so great. I
great.
met Dave once, and he was just the nicest guy.
He's a great guy.
And Johnny's a great friend. And I haven't met Lee. They
out
all-
of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, they're so inspiring.
That's
My
awesome.
dad
So
loves them, too.
you are ingrained in Boston rock history here.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Especially with your dad in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knew a lot of old Boston bands that he got me into too, and the Dead Boys, and
Who
you know.
else?
Mission of Burma.
Yep, Mission of Burma.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean
so
all
do
that
you have
stuff.
brothers or sisters?
I do. I have a brother.
And is he into music at all? Or?
He plays drums, but he's more into DJing now. He just DJ'd his first show the other night, actually.
Oh, yeah. Congrats.
um,
Should we give a shout out? What's his name?
Yeah, shout out to I don't know his DJ name or if he
What's
has
his
one.
regular name?
Torin Johnson.
Torin. Nice
Shout
job,
out.
man. DJing for his first gig?
Yeah,
Where was it?
it was
Okay.
in New Hampshire somewhere. I think it was a house party.
I love that you covered your dad's tune.
Yeah, I had extra space on the album, and it was actually around Christmas time, and I brought his drummer into the studio and recorded bass with him.
Your dad played guitar, right? Or plays guitar?
He plays guitar. Yeah, so I had him come in and do the lead. I had his band back me on it, and it was really cool. Really good experience.
Because as a bass player, I don't know how you fell into that, but I mean, bass is very special. If someone likes the bass and you sing while playing the bass, that's a special thing.
It's pretty cool, like, when people say they like it, because I don't really consider myself a bassist. I love playing bass, but I'm there to sing the songs and write the songs. And with the bass, it's just kind of like a means to an end to get the melody out and to be the driving force behind it and the glue.
Phantom ring on my telephone. Oh, how I wish it was a phantom. Months ago we could have settled down. I could have marked my ground in your castle. The moon's the most perfect thing in the sky. It's from the side of town. Still it's the only instant comfort I find. It's always gotta be around. Phantom lights in my pulsing heart. Oh, how I wish there was Maria. It's all in my head. This dancing dead Deleria.
To have a good live sound or, a good recording, you know that the bass is that, you said glue, but it ties the rhythm to the chords, right? I mean, it strings together the kick and the snare, and it gives the groove. What are you thinking about, or what goes on in a typical live tune? Let's say you're back at the Rumble.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about locking into that click as much as the vocals, or both?
With Nick as a drummer, he's pretty solid, and luckily I don't have to think about it too much. I don't usually think about locking in unless something feels off, and then I'm like, oh man, I gotta get back on track. But I haven't had that problem, luckily, since Nick joined about 2 years ago.
So are you consciously thinking about melody and vocal more than your bass while you're playing?
I think so, and I think now the songs are so ingrained in me from playing them almost like every night this year that I don't even think about what I'm doing anymore on bass or worrying about do I even remember how to play this one, or it's just automatic. I end up thinking about other life things when I'm playing. I just want to put on a good show and be entertaining and get the energy across.
But that's the thing. You're a rock star up there. When you're up there, you're moving the bass. You're not just sitting there. You're moving around comfortably.
When I first started out, when I was in that first band, I remember playing my first probably 35 shows. I was glued to the ground. I was looking down, not moving. I was terrified and shaking probably.
It's an art form, being able to move.
But you're performing, you're singing, you're holding a melody, you got lyrics that have to be memorized, and you're not just sort of a noodling guitar player.
Yeah.
You're holding that foundation.
Yeah.
So for you to practice, I guess, you're kind of answering the question. I mean, it becomes second nature after the while. It has to.
Totally. And I'm pretty comfortable. That's the thing about that instrument that I have, is that bass is so comfortable that it feels so much like a part of me, where I've played it for 8 years consistently since that first band. I know my way around it, and I'm not any, virtuoso when it comes to bass. But as long as I can just keep the foundation of the song and keep it driving. Bass is one of those instruments where you don't always notice it when it's there, but you'll notice it when it's not there, or when it's played wrong. So it's even one note can set the whole song off. So.
But I notice it in your songs. It's not, as I said before, it's not buried in the background. You can hear you. I can hear you playing.
Yeah.
And there's a really funny quote in here, which I'm sure is totally true. But who are you talking to? Who are you looking at? Someone looking in the window again? Would anyone like a lozenge, by the way?
Lozenge. I'm okay
I'll
for
take
right
a
now.
lozenge.
Because I've got this cough that I think I have Ebola.
Guys, is it lemon?
Would you like one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
It was a quote, and I really liked it. It said, it says, Carissa Johnson is a talented lady. She writes songs, performs them with wild abandon. And then this is the kicker one right here. And if you are lucky enough to be in the audience, you will be captivated by her intense gaze.
Oh, wow.
Have you heard that one before?
I don't think so.
That's pretty good. That's some
awesome.
serious...
I'd be a little nervous to be in the audience, be captivated by
I
that
know.
intense gaze.
gaze.
I know. Would you stare people down in the audience? Are you one of those people you
Sometimes
find them in the audience?
I like to look at people when I can. I like to connect, but it's kind of hard. I have the problem Nick has, where my hair is always in my face and it's always sweaty, and if I move it for a second, it's just down the next second. So it's hard to look around all the time, but that's also why I move around so much. I think get rid of the hair from my face, so
that's
my
what
hair's
you
not
are.
choking on my hair.
Live is your thing, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I love the energy live. It's so different from being anywhere else. also being like in the studio or like at home writing and stuff. But like when you can actually take the final product on stage and sing it and like shout it and then feel the energy of people like reacting to it, it's like really cool.
Because you'll react to their energy.
Yeah, exactly.
We've talked about that on this podcast when it comes anywhere from classical.
Put the lozenge in the back of your mouth, something like that. So like when you're on the stage.
Oh, God.
Carissa.
Good God.
What we
Get a
like.
mouthful of marbles. Well, don't spit it. Oh, God. God, no, that's just
You're
childish.
still gonna drink that?
Anyway, so we've talked to people, whether they're classical or jazz or folk.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what type of music it is. So it's the people coming together to feed off each other.
Absolutely. Any way I can connect to the crowd, it always makes for a better show. And the shows that I don't feel like I can connect are the ones that I go home like, man, how could I have connected better? But yeah, definitely you can feel it. You can feel whether it's 2 people or 200 people, you can feel like if there's like a good connection or not.
Have you played anything as big as where's the Be Amazing again? No.
House of
House
Blues.
of Blues.
House of Blues. Have you ever played a place that big before?
Not with this band. The biggest this band has played was Sinclair.
Sinclair's like 350 people about,
350.
right?
I think it was about 350.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably between 300 and 350. That's probably the most that I've played to with this band. I don't know. I know the Rumble. Yeah, like the Rumble was almost sold out every night. That's about 350 people.
That's once in Somerville, right?
Once, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's probably Sinclair was the biggest one, and then Vet Music Hall was pretty big, and then we did Whiskey in LA. That was pretty big, but no, nothing anywhere near House of Blues size, which I've wanted to for so long. And I'm so excited. I've wanted to play that room forever, so just to get a taste of it will be really, really cool.
You have your own company. It's called Fuel Heart Productions.
Yes.
You do workshops for do-it-yourself touring.
Yeah, and actually I'm very glad that Vanessa's here too, because maybe she can talk a little bit about it. I started Fuel Heart because I realized everything I do is pretty much like what a label does. Like I record my own songs. I have like my own engineer and producer. So I manage myself, book myself, do my own art, write my own songs, drive myself, band manage, everything. And, with help from other people, like with help from my producer, engineer, and help from my band and stuff like that. But when I go out to book these tours that I was doing, my goal was to hit a new place every 6 months and do a 2-week tour with my band. So we hit the Northwest and we were camping out, borrowing equipment from all the other bands, rented a car, only brought out our instruments and drum breakables, and then really roughed it, but it was such an experience, and we ended up breaking even close to, it was such an adventure.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we did Northwest, I want to do Southwest now in like 6 months. So then in this past January, we did Southwest, hit like New Mexico, California, Arizona, the whole Southwest, and it was so cool, like doing it all ourselves, and it's a lot of work. But after that, I was just like, I want to like turn this into something, and through meeting Vanessa too, who she has her own production label and artist development label where, she helps other artists. And I've always kind of helped other artists too around Boston, around New England with artwork and guidance, like just random things here and there, booking. And I really love that stuff. I love the kind of like the management side of things.
So it was like a tour consultant business too?
A little bit.
I have a company called the Diamond Heart Production, and it's an artist development label that I've had for probably about 3 years right now. And I'm an engineer and producer, and I've been in the business probably 15, 16, 17 years, had every job in the business, and everything from doing royalties to being an assistant engineer to doing internet marketing. Basically, I was doing A&R scouting and an assistant engineer and doing my band, and I saw all these amazing bands who were getting signed, who I found before they were being signed, and I was wearing all these hats in the business, and I just said I'm gonna help myself and help the other artists and bands on the way, and so I've been doing this for a bit, and I work with a lot of bands. I managed bands before, and I'm a full-time touring DIY artist. I've played probably close to 340 shows in the last 25 months, and when I met Carissa, we immediately hit it off, because here you have a prime example of an artist who is owning her scene, helping the community, and it's super authentic. When I started talking to her, we hit it off immediately because she was already kind of helping bands around, but didn't quite have a name to it yet and was kind of figuring stuff out and had thought about starting a label. I was like, oh my God, you're like kind of what I'm doing, have already been doing, but on the East Coast.
Right.
And we recently did a DIY artist workshop for people. We worked with Girls Rock Camp in Santa Barbara.
I know there's one here too.
Yeah, and they're super supportive of, female musicians, but not only females, but men and boys as well, just music and kids.
Well, you're mentors.
That's the whole message, I think, with the whole touring and stuff is go do it, you can do it. And that the whole example is you can do it. And Carissa is a prime example of a young artist who other artists can look up to and has done so much in her community, built so much on her own, but is widespread and building so much on her own by helping other people.
It's awesome because, one of the things we talk about here a lot is, in a positive way, is fear. You getting out of your little comfort zone of me playing, some local places around here and getting in a van and going to God knows where you're going and I've no idea how to do it. That's got to be fairly terrifying for someone who...
It's totally terrifying. And just to let people know, anyone who's listening, like I've done multiple U.S. tours alone, completely as a woman.
Yeah.
And so to me, I feel like as an artist, that's like a duty to share that with other artists and people in general, that like the fear and all that stuff is more than people think. It's, you can do it too.
We're so glad you're here to close that loop for that perspective, because we're just meeting you, Carissa, now, and it's really awesome to hear the artist perspective, but to have another artist but also knows you in a different way is really special to see that perspective.
Yeah, it's been really special just to be able to tour so much, and a lot of that's because of Vanessa, through her experience and being in Boston. I love Boston and playing the shows here, and then there comes a point where it's like, now I want to like expand a little more and like try other places and just to a larger extent than what I have been doing.
So are you guys traveling? Are you all in the same van? Or?
Yeah, so usually we go out on these things acoustic, and then my band will come out for a couple shows, maybe fly out to the West Coast and do a couple shows out there. But since it's acoustic, we're able to take our own vehicles. So if we do a West Coast tour, we'll take Vanessa's CRV. If we're out on the East Coast, we're going to be taking my CRV.
I have a CRV.
Really? They're fun vehicles.
Yeah.
They carry a lot of things. It's nice.
It's very suburban of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like soccer moms.
Hey, I'm feeling more like a rocker.
Yeah.
I have a CRV too. I have a 2014 CRV. How cool is that?
Oh, that was an awesome year for CRVs.
Yeah.
I have a Jeep.
You have a Jeep?
I beat all of you.
Oh, do you take the doors off?
I take it off once in a while.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to take off the doors.
Yeah.
Although Joe, he has a Jeep too.
Yeah.
But he takes off the doors on like 20-degree weather, and he still has a roof off.
Well, look at him. Joe's very
have a top?
rugged.
No top or doors.
His Jeep doesn't even have a roof on it.
Where we are going, we have no doors. That's what he would say.
No,
that's a bad Star Wars reference.
It's not Star Wars.
There are no roads. Oh no! That's Back to the Future.
It's Back to the Future. You just mix Star Wars and Back to the Future stories.
I did.
I'm so ashamed.
My first band, all of us and our equipment fit into a Pontiac. Drum set, bass amp, guitar amp,
Awesome.
3 members. That was the Carissa Johnson and the Electric Party Convention.
Ooh, I love that.
Say that again.
Carissa Johnson and the Electric Party Convention.
I like it. What was the name of the band in
That's
the Muppets? Yeah, it was an Electric Mayhem.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that Josie and the Pussycats band?
No, it's the Muppets.
That was just the Pussycats.
That's Archie and the Jugheads. Was that the Archie band? Archie and the Jugheads?
So you're going to play for us?
Maybe. I could do some songs, yeah.
We would love you guys. Do you have any more questions, Chuck?
Okay, so Full Heart Productions. Does it have its own website, Full Heart Productions, or is this through your own website?
So it has a link. I do have the domain. It goes straight to my site right now, and there's a page on Carissa Johnson Music that will direct you to that. There's a little page off of that site that you can click to get some more info on that. Full Heart Productions.
All right, awesome. And so with the BMAs coming up, and you're still in the studio finishing up. Where are you recording it?
So I recorded a couple tracks with Benny Grotto at Mad Oak.
Okay.
And then I'm doing the rest of the songs at the Den in North Reading with Doug Batchelder, who did Only Roses and For Now.
Awesome. And so it should come out when?
It'll be coming out March 10th.
Is there an album name?
Yes. It
Caravan.
hasn't actually been released yet. Should I debut it here?
Yes,
oh, yeah,
please.
Go for it.
All right. It's called Talk, Talk, Talk. And it'll be out March 10th, and it's going to be released at Great Scott.
Oh.
So
Excellent.
That's your CD release party.
CD release party.
March 10th. Great, Scott.
March 10th.
Awesome.
Are you going to put out vinyl?
I would like to. If the funds allow for it, I will.
We have a great place for you to do it.
We do.
Really?
It's called the Burlington Record Plant in Burlington, Vermont.
Ooh.
They're awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it because I was finishing up the artwork today, and I was like, this would look cool on vinyl.
Yeah.
I always think that.
Everything
Actually,
looks
you know
good in
what?
vinyl.
We have a podcast that we went up to Burlington to meet him and another guest, and his name is Justin Crowther. Anyway, so you can listen to us babble with him. And
And it was great because we took our candy out of our mouths before we talked to him, so you could
Oh, that's
understand
good.
what we were saying.
That's good. No lozenges.
It really worked. Vanessa, this was a nice surprise. I'm sorry we didn't have a microphone for you special.
Hey, thank you guys very much.
I'll do You Lost You. Light me up, fire do, spit it, I could really use a wish I would. Wish you back, wish you luck, wish you all you expected in the first place. Lessons aren't ever cheap, hills we climb aren't always temporary. Lose your mind, lose your heart, find them on whichever side you decide to fall. We pity the devil, feed her too. I lost my place in your world. You lost you. You lost you. You lost you. Lift me up, I'll lift you. It's so simple, why is it difficult to do? Be afraid, it's okay. Think me out, I'm so lonely in your brain, babe. You pity the devil, feed her too. I lost my place in your world. You lost you. You lost you. You lost you. We used to walk hand in hand, but now we're in time capsule in the sand. Now nothing's getting through, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You lost you. You lost you. You lost you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. That's great.
Thank you so much. And
We'll do one more.
I'll do one more, yeah, sure. I think I'm gonna do this song called Cardinal, which will be the next single off the new album. Here we are. It's a goddamn shame, feels like you'd like to forget my name. I just met you. I let you in too soon. Who are you? Where have you been all this time? Did you fix your mind?
would like to thank Carissa Johnson and also Vanessa Silberman for sitting with us. If you would like more information on Carissa, including tour dates and her album release, go to CarissaJohnsonMusic.com. You can also see more about Vanessa at VanessaSilberman.com. Go to AboveTheBasement.com where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and look at all the nice pictures we post on Instagram. We are everywhere. On behalf of Ronnie and myself, thanks for listening, tell your friends, and remember, Boston music, like its history, is unique. Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation is recorded at beautiful Woods Hill Table Restaurant in West Concord, Massachusetts. Woods Hill Table is honored to have been awarded 3 stars as the most sustainable restaurant in Massachusetts by the Sustainable Restaurant Association. The food is organic and locally sourced, non-GMO, and is absolutely delicious. Chef Charlie Foster focuses on seasonal ingredients and their own grass-fed livestock raised on the farm at Woods Hill in Bath, New Hampshire. Go to woodshilltable.com for reservations.